Okay, Michael, thank you. Thanks for that nice introduction. Let me just make sure everybody can hear me okay and see the webcam. We've got that on today. I don't know if that's good, but here I am. All right, looks like the technology is working. I'm going to start sharing my screen here, so you should see that in a second. High school into September, you get that break, so looks pretty good. All right, everybody will have fun during that week. Try to get a little sun. Traders usually don't get much sun, so try to get out there and get some sun. Have a good time. All right, so listen, a couple things I want to talk about today. Mike brought up some great points here. You know, we got the Fed coming out today, so you know, if you're day trading during the day, be careful because of the volatility. Quick question for you all. I always like to ask on the Fed day, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think they're going to do anything with rates, stay the same, make any announcements and so forth? And while I'm waiting for that, don't forget to like us on Facebook. You know, we got a month here or so where we're going to take a little hiatus here from the morning brief while TradeStation tools up, so you can keep in touch with us on Facebook. We post a lot of weekly updates on the market there as well. So definitely like us. There's a link up there. Mike and I put enough links up there to keep you guys busy for a good half an hour today. So check out those links, and there's one up there for our Facebook page, so definitely check that out. We're also doing an Elliott Wave webinar today if that interests you too as well. Yeah, so no change in the Fed. That's kind of what I'm hearing out there from you all, and that is kind of what I think I'm reading about. Let me just bring up the report here for today. This is the announcements for the remainder of the week, and for today, 2 o'clock, we got the Fed minutes. They're pretty much standing down right now, so I don't think they're going to change them at all, the rates, but you know, it's always interesting to see what they say in terms of going forward, and I think that's what the market keys off of. So as long as they kind of remain the same, the market's okay with that, but any changes of increasing rates, of course, could cause a little volatility. So just be careful with that and see what they say. Mortgage apps came out today at 7. ADP employment report is out, or at least coming out. It's Eastern time here. I'm over in California, so I'm on the Pacific time. So 9:45 a.m. the PMI is coming out. We got construction spending at 10, and then the EIA petroleum status coming out at 10:30, followed by the Fed announcement. Thursday, tomorrow, May 2nd. Can't believe it's already May. All right, jobless claims, 8:30. Productivity and costs coming out as well. Factory orders, natural gas, Fed balance sheet. Friday, May 3rd, employment situation, international trade, and we end the week with ISM manufacturing index. So I don't see anything. I mean, you know, the only announcement really that it's going to cause I think, some volatility in the market is today's Fed announcement. Now listen, we're going to be using a lot of different forms of technical analysis today. If you're using the TradeStation platform, you are a technical trader for the most part. It is the best platform in the industry for technical analysis. It's been around forever, all right, and they've done nothing but improve it. So you're on the right platform. Now just learn how to use it. Mike put some links up there to take you to the advanced courses taught by TradeStation on how to use it, and I highly recommend those because I find in my daily dealings with people using the TradeStation platform, they're only touching the surface of it. They use the basics. But it's kind of like an iceberg, you know, under that water, there's a big bottom. And same thing with TradeStation. There's a lot in there that you may not be using. And that goes for using their radar screen for finding stocks all the way down to strategies and learning easy language so you can actually do your own strategies as well. So definitely check that out. Mike had just put some links up to the master class, and I think it's just great. All right, so we're going to be using some software I developed for TradeStation called the Applied Reality Trading System called ART. It gives us entries, exits. We also use it for risk control. Don't forget your risk control. Risk control is everything in this business, so you got to employ risk control. Also, too, we use the OWL, PTF, TLM, and ERI indicators to confirm signals and tell us about the market that the ART signals generate. So we use those as well. We also use Elliott Wave, and I put a link up there, and I guess I'll put it up there again for a class I'm going to be teaching today on the Elliott wave. So if you want to learn more about that and also learn how our scanner actually searches in radar screen for Elliott waves 3 and 5, definitely check us out today, all right? You're going to like that. It's a free webinar, and I do these every once in a while to basically teach people about the Elliott wave. So check us out. We're also going to be using fib extensions and retracements for target zones. Very important. TJ, the time on that, good question, 4:30 Pacific. So I think that's what, 7:30 Eastern. And if you live in between, I'll let you figure that out. So somewhere around that time, okay? 4:30 Pacific time. All right, so let's get into why we're here, charts. All right, first one I want to share is one I did of the Dow Jones. I've shared it every week we've been here. It is on my written report, summary report as well. And this chart, all our charts are done on TradeStation. So this is the TradeStation platform. I take pictures of it and then I draw on them. And one of the things that it really hasn't changed, I call this once again the nail biter chart. And the reason why is because the prices are hovering, at least they were Sunday. I think they are probably right around there today. We'll look at the live chart in just a moment. But they're hovering around this high resistance level of 26,951.81. Now, we think this is in a complex correction and has been ever since this top that we call an Elliott wave 3 over here, all right, was reached. Now, in terms of Elliott wave, very quickly, there are 5 waves in a trend, according to Ralph Nelson Elliott, who founded this way back in the 1930s. And he found that there were 5 waves in both bullish and bearish trends. And he discovered this through observation. It's not really a indicator per se that he developed. It was more of an observational indicator. And in a case like this, we are in wave 4. The question is, are we still in wave 4? Or was wave 4 over in this little boxed area here? All right, that's a possibility. But it is the lower possibility. The higher possibility, I say that 5 times, the higher possibility is that we are in a more complex wave 4 that's going to end down this second box right here. So we'll call this the major wave 4 target zone. And that's where we think actually prices are going to end up at some particular point after this move to the upside that we've been in really for the entire year is over. Now, when I say upside, it's been kind of a funny upside because, yes, prices moved off the bottom here in December of 2018, but come right around February, it's been pretty stagnant with a slight tilt to the upside. Nothing dramatic, all right, but no sell-off and no real super push to the upside. We've got a couple of our pyramid trading points active here, indicating that this was a move to the upside. So, you could have made some money on this. But actually what we think is going to happen is the market should sell off at some point and go down to this area here, which is a wave 4 Fibonacci retracement based off this long-term bullish trend we've been in for the last 2 years. And so a wave 4 usually retraces in terms of Fibonacci between 38.2 and 61.8. And that's going to bring it down to a value on the Dow Jones of between 20,268 all the way down to 16,130. So that sounds like a pretty hefty correction, and it is. But in terms of how long the market's been going up, this correction actually is a normal fib retracement. So that's where we're expecting it to go, and a high percentage of wave 4s end in this major area. And also, too, one of our key indicators here called the PTF is red. And this is kind of a easy to use and a kind of a cool indicator because it has a high probability. When it's red like this, really easy to use. All you have to do is find the lowest price in that red area, okay? Anybody, as long as you're not colorblind, can find that, right? All right, if you're colorblind, then just look down here when this breaks here. All right, so here, okay, we got a situation where it broke down below the low. And it's remained red. So there's a high probability we're going to also go below that low, which is an indication we're probably not in wave 5. All right, so both the high probability target zone here and the high probability PTF are setting more lows. So that lends us to a more high probability situation of the market correcting down to that area. We also have bearish divergence. Now, every time I do a webinar, okay, somebody always says, well, the S&P is making a new all-time high. Well, that's great, but we're talking about the Dow, all right? So the S&P is made up of stocks, 500 stocks, and the Dow is made up of some of those plus additional ones that may not be in the S&P. So the Dow Jones has not made a new high yet, and so that's kind of important to note. Now, I also want to take a look at another time frame here before we get on to stocks. And before I do, I want to show you some corrections that we could be in terms of this complex situation that we've are experiencing now on the Dow. So the first type of correction that we see when we go to the lower time frames is what we call a triple flat. And I'm actually going to show you the 60-minute chart on the Dow in just a minute that has the triple flat correction on it. And this is kind of important because we have 3 A's, 3 B's, all right, interrupted by an X along with 3 C's. So that makes it a triple flat, but there are different types of triple flat corrections. And since I'm not going to be here for a little while until June, I want you to understand that this one's shaping down, but we also have some going sideways. So let me show you what the sideways ones look like. And this is the sideways here. I'll enlarge that so you can see it better. But here's an example where you could have a wave 3 here. All right, and notice you have the 2 X's again, just like in the other one, but this one's going sideways like a channel. And notice that some of the X's breach the top of wave 3. You can get that. So that's why I'm saying watch the resistance level, but as long as the PTF on that daily chart remains red, we're going to still classify it as a triple correction. So that PTF is going to have to change color and get more bullish or at least neutral before I'm going to call for an end of wave 4, even if we breach above the resistance level. All right, so that's kind of how we're going to play that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in a month, because we're going to meet back here in June. We'll see what happens with that. All right, there's just other types of corrections. Here's an expanded flat correction. Let me enlarge that a little bit. And you can certainly see that B wave goes above 3 here. So the point here is that there are some complex corrections where they actually go above wave 3. All right, they're rare, but you can't discredit that because they do happen. All right, and then finally, here's the chart on the Dow that I wanted to share with you that has the complex correction on it for today. All right, I drew this on Sunday, and again, we'll take a look at the live chart in just a minute. But so far we've had 2 A's, 2 B's, 2 C's, 1 X, and we may have put an X top in here, or it may still be going up. Now, one interesting thing here is, again, PTF now is red on this chart. So we want to take a look and see if it's red today on the live charts, which I already did, and it is. All right. So we're probably, in a situation where we're probably going to head down, and that may be a sign that X wave is over. So if that's the case, we may be starting another ABC pattern to the downside where we could end in that wave 4 target zone. All right. Again, if the PTF changes color and becomes more neutral or positive on that daily chart, then and keeps going higher, then we may change the wave count. But for right now, that's not happening. All right, let's go over to TradeStation where it's all happening here. All right, so let's take this out. Notice we still got a red PTF. We have not broken the highs here. Got a small little flat yellow pyramid starting to form to the upside, but won't get confirmed unless we break out to the upside. So we'll keep an eye on that. And then if we take a look at the 60-minute here, all right, that's still got the red PTF. All right, so forecast is the same today as it was on Sunday. That's what I'm trying to get that. All right. All right, so there that is. Now, let's cruise over and take a look at, let's see what we got for scans here. Now, this is Radar Screen on my right, and this happens to be a chart. The nice thing about Radar Screen is that you can sort through the thousands of stocks each and every day, each and every time frame you want. I've got this set up on a 60-minute for some short-term time frames. And this is Paychex. P-A-Y-X, and that's this column right here that I have. And notice it's in a bullish Elliott Wave 3. So here's the Elliott Wave scanners work, and this is what I'm going to be doing the webinar on this afternoon. So I'll show you how this works and how we make money on that. All right, so that's what we're in now, and we also have scanners set up for daily charts. All right, here's one here that we liked, that we found from the scanner with our Fibonacci extension target zones. This is a wave 5 target zone here, 3, 4, and we're starting to see a little bearish divergence here. This was a minor, this is a 1 here, 2 here, 3 here, 4 here, and reaching up into 5 now. So there's 5 waves inside every impulsive wave, and wave 5 is an impulsive wave. So this is the kind of stuff I'm going to teach this afternoon if this interests you. All right, so it looks like a pretty good trade, but we found it through Radar Screen. So don't forget Radar Screen exists on your charting platform. Use it, because it really is amazing how quick it can sort through different time frames, and it's very easy to set up. All right, so that is that. Here's the S&P for today. This is the 2-minute time frame and the 10-minute. So it looks like a little pre-market activity heading down, but we got a green PTF on the 2-minute, which is the left. So let's see if that holds for the open. We'll take a look at it. We have a yellow now on the 10-minute, so that's neutral. So that's not necessarily bad. All right, stocks. Let's take a look at stocks. I'm going to start out with GE and share this one with you, and then we'll go ahead and go down the list. Everybody's typing in their stocks, which is great. All right, so here's the deal with GE, and this is also an excellent example of how you should set your workspaces up. I really recommend using multiple time frame analysis. For me personally and the students I teach, what it does is it really gives you a good grip on the market you're looking at in terms of timing and what the momentum is doing on short-term time frames, intermediate and long-term. So if you look at this screen here, notice we have the 60-minute here on the left, and this is the short-term. We have the daily in the middle, that's your intermediate, and the weekly on the left, and that's your long-term. So when it comes to swing trading, I always put my dominant or primary time frame in the middle. That's the daily, but you can use this setup also for day trading too. I usually just use 2, however, day trading, because I'll have the 2-minute as one of my lower time frames. All right, so on this situation here, notice we have a green PTF on the 60, so we're going higher short term. Long term, this is not a buy and hold. All right, what we think is going to happen is we've had a wave 3 here. We're going up to a 4, and then after 4, we're heading back down into 5. So I would not buy GE and put it under my pillow right now and give it to my kids. All right, I wouldn't do that right now because it's not a long-term hold. What I do think we're going to do is I think we're going to be long on GE for about a year. And I think it's going to take a year to get up to this target zone. So the target zone we've got here is about $15.77 all the way up to $21.64. And we think it's going to move in that direction. You can put your stop under 3 or under this little last area here. Okay, I wouldn't put it too close because at that particular point, you don't want to get stopped out before you reach the target zone. Now, in the daily time frame, we've got a beautiful pyramid here that formed, all right, for your entry. That's okay to use because I think that's 1, 2, which is going to be the 1, 2 over here. So I kind of like it. I think the reason I'm sharing this is because I always believe in getting in trends early. I do not like to get in trends late because that's more risky of a trade. So I'm showing you this because on the daily chart and the weekly, I think we're bouncing off actually a B wave, which is the 2 here. This is A. All right, so a B wave. So we're getting off to the bottom, and I think that's going to be really good, okay? I think it's an excellent time to get in. And again, it's not a buy and hold, but I do think it's going to accelerate to the upside over the next year, all right, and reach that target zone. So that is General Electric. Now let's take a look at some of the ones you guys want to look at and put the stop. I think I covered, Frank, where to put the stop on that. So just under the pyramid on the daily chart would be fine, okay? All right, so let's move on now to some of the ones you want to look at here. TLT, all right, we got a good 5 minutes to go here. All right, TJ's saying based on your forecast on the Dow, the rest of the markets will follow suit and go down. Yeah, there's always exceptions, TJ, to everything, but you know, that's the deal. Now, while this is loading, let me just give my 2-cent disclaimer here. A lot of these trades we go over and look at may or may not be suitable for you, all right, and might cover the disclaimer in the beginning of the session. you need to check with your financial advisor, accountant, or attorney to make sure any of these trades are suitable for you, because I don't know your personal situation. Mike doesn't, TradeStation doesn't. So, you know, what I would do is, you know, if you like these ideas, you can use them for educational purposes, run them by your financial advisor, and then decide what you want to do, okay? Because ultimately the responsibility is yours in terms of profit and loss and moving stops and so forth and risk control. All right, so TLT. All right, as you can see, we've looked at TLT before. If you look at that chart in the center, which is the daily chart, we have a 3 here, we have a 4 here, and we've drawn in the fib wave 5 target zone here. So it's already reached the target zone. But here's where the PTF really is helpful. And notice it's green down here on this time frame. All right? It's not red on the weekly, and it's not red on the 60. So there's a high probability we're going to go back in that target range and take this high out over here. So again, you know, if you're still in this, don't put your stops too close. Put them under here, okay? And I would hang on to this trade because we're going back into the target zone. Very plain and simple. So the move to the upside based off the PTF, again, has a high probability, so I kind of like listen to it. The PTF is kind of like if you had a friend with like 140, 150 IQ, and he tells you to do something, you should listen to him, okay? Same thing with the PTF, all right? So it's your very smart friend that's usually right. We don't like them necessarily, but they're usually right. Okay, so there's that. So let's go to QQQ and take a look at that. Next one here, this is Frank. For Frank here, give that a second to load on all time frames. All right, and let's see what's cooking on this one here. Now, usually when I load something like the 60-minute didn't fully load, that's because it's catching, okay? It's usually got to catch for a little bit, and sometimes I just need to restart it. But what I'm keying off mainly when I look at the 60-minute is the momentum anyway. I'm not really looking at the full Elliott wave on that because that's not my primary time frame. Okay, so here's what we got. We got a green PTF. We got a long movement up and a red owl on the 60-minute. So we may be, Frank, on this one, I think this is for you, right? Yeah, Frank, we may be coming down to a fib retracement somewhere at some point and then head higher. But for right now, you know, let's see what happens. The stop on the pyramid is here, so it gives you a lot of leeway for some normal market breathing. But it's also, you know, this could go up a little higher before coming down. So at this particular point, if you have your stop here, you're going to be remaining long in this. And it looks pretty good for higher highs at some point. But trees don't grow to the sky forever in a straight line. They, you know, break and grow again. So you got to think about that in terms of the way the market breathes, okay? All right, so that's QQQ. All right, let's take a look at TWLO. Get that one up there. Give that a second to load, and this one is for MG. All right, so nice movement on the weekly chart. All right, no question about it. The owl has identified this as a wave 3 with this pink dot, but you can also look at it here. Pyramids did a great job getting you in fairly early on the trend. Your stop now, of course, would be right under this pyramid here. So that's where we'd have it right now. In terms of the other situation, the other charts, we still have a green PTF on the short-term 60. So we're not done going up. Looks like we're going to go higher. And we're starting to see some bearish divergence building in the daily chart. All right, higher high here than here. And we no longer have a green PTF on the daily. So the momentum is starting to wean a little bit, okay, in the trend. Looks like we probably have just another brief high, and then we'll take a look at the 60-minute again and see if that's still green or not. But eventually this will correct. So if you're thinking about getting in this for the first time right now, it's too late. All right, you even missed the best entry on the 60-minute chart, which was this pyramid here. All right, now you've already had 1, 2, 3, 4 pyramids in a row on the weekly chart, and that usually spells getting close to a trend, you know, type of correction, mature trend. And you've had quite a few on the daily too. So if you're long, great. If you're thinking about going long, wait for the correction. That would be my quick answer on that. Good one to look at though. AMD, let's take a look and see what's cooking on AMD for Karen here. Give that a second to load. And then we'll take a look at UNG, and I think that's going to probably take us almost to the end here. All right, so let's quickly take a look at the weekly chart. Now everybody should not only see my markings on the weekly chart, but you should also see we have a green PTF. So when you see that, you know more highs are coming, or at least the high probability of it. Nothing is certain, but certainly the probability is there. And that's the wave count. And we have bearish divergence, which we should have between waves 3 and 5. And so that's what we're looking at right now. So higher highs, long term. Let's see what the short term charts show us here. Let's take a look at first the 60-minute. So the 60-minute reached the target zone we were expecting, and now we're seeing a little bit of topping. So we may see some movement down a little bit again, something like this on the weekly, and then up. And let me just take a look at what we've got cooking here. And we may go a little higher into this target zone for the daily before correcting a little bit. But the long-term trend is still up. So I expect a year from now that this will be higher than it is now into wave 5 target zone. All right, TradeStation is telling me the market is now open. Okay, so we've got an open market. Let's quickly drum back and go through the, let's take a look and see what's cooking here. All right, 10-minute now has a red PTF. We still got a green PTF, but very close to going red on the 2-minute time frame. So in a situation like this, the trend down is on the 2-minute is pretty extensive. So I don't think I would jump into a short trade here at all, especially with a green PTF. But if I see some movement to the upside, some momentum coming back in, I might consider it. But usually when I have a conflict between the 2 and 10-minute like this, I would probably stand down until I have a more compatible situation in terms of direction on both these time frames. So that's how you kind of know when to stay out. Now notice the PTF, I don't know if you can see it on your end, just turned red. So now you're pretty much going down at this point. So you don't want to take any long trades. You wouldn't even consider long trades at this point. All right, so that's how that kind of works. All right, one last thing before we go, use the scanners. Okay, you got a whole month before you're going to see us again here. So start using those scanners. Attend the TradeStation advanced classes. They'll even teach you how to use it. And I'm going to put the market report up as well again for everybody for one last time. And until we meet again. So there that is. And let me just also, in case you came in late, put the link up for the webinar I'm doing on Elliott Wave, and that will round out today. All right, well, listen, have a great month off, all right, and we'll see you back here in June. Mike and everybody at TradeStation, good luck with all the retooling. That's a big job, but when they come back, it'll be better than ever. All right, so we'll see you next time. Have a great month. Always use risk control with everything you do, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Bennett. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Have a great trading day. We'll have morning market briefing tomorrow and Friday, so make sure you join us for those 2 days. Have a great day in your trading, everybody. Thanks for joining us.